Yes, yes.
Okay, rock on. Look at the shirt Joan has. I almost wore that for the doctors. But then I decided
Dawn
it
has his
not.
on too. We just want to make sure that we don't walk around the neighborhood looking like this.
All right, I'm going to let everyone in. Good morning, everybody. We are so glad you are here. Everyone's coming in. We'll give everybody a minute. And there's more coming. Welcome, everybody, to Our Voice, Our Vote, Part 2. Look, there's Willie and the gang from, are y'all at Wesley Glen?
River Edge.
Hi. If you would put everybody's name in the chat box so we'll know everyone who's here, that'd be fabulous.
Yes, River Edge. All right, I gotta get everybody's names into the chat.
Okay. So welcome everybody, and this is Self Advocates in Georgia Making a Difference. We're going to talk today about advocating for your voting rights and making sure that your support folks are available to help you vote if you need help. And so we're so glad you're here. And the Self Advocates are going to be teaching this to all of you Self Advocates.
And hi, everyone. Good morning. One housekeeping note is that we have live transcripts being provided. So if you want closed captions, you can click on that in the bottom of your toolbar. And we also have ASL interpreters. There are 2. You can pin them directly to your view so that they stay on your screen. So they're named ASL Karen and ASL Sylvia. And you can find them hopefully at the top of your participant list and click pin so they stay directly in your view on your screen. So thanks. Back to you guys.
Okay, welcome. Hold on, I'm getting myself adjusted so I can get y'all done. I'm down one leg today, but we're gonna make this happen today. So just give me 1 second. All right, my name is Sheila, first off, and I'm gonna start it off. The Leadership Collective from United for Change welcomes y'all, each self-advocate and your allies and supporters to this voting workshop. We actually don't call it a workshop. We just call it educating you about your votes, voting rights, and how we can help you to get the information you need. So others might call it a workshop, but I don't call it a workshop. I just call it helping hand to get the knowledge out that you might need. So to make sure you and your allies and supporters know how to support your voting right as self-advocates, none other than Michelle will introduce your speakers today.
Well, thank you, Sheila. I'm going to ask the speakers to introduce themselves and tell us where they hail from. So, Miss Gina DiPolito.
I am Miss Jen DiPolito from Statesboro. My mama Jew. And please, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box, and we'll make sure we get to them today during this session. And if you and glad you guys here, and also River Edge. Good morning. It was good seeing you guys this morning.
Everybody else.
And everybody else.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Derek?
My name is Derek. I live in Albany, Georgia. I'm a graphic artist.
Thank you, Derek. I don't see Nandy. Oh, Nandy, there you are. I'm so glad you're here. Nandy, go forth.
Hi, my name is Isaac from Macon, Georgia.
And the one and only Miss
Jeffrey?
Sheila.
And I am from Union City, Georgia, and I play many roles in the self-advocate movement.
Amen. And Mr. John McCarty.
This is John McCarty. He's a person who communicates by spelling or typing on a keyboard or spelling on a letterboard. I'm his supporter, Joan. I'm his communication partner. John lives in Roswell, Georgia, and when you hear my voice, you hear me reading what John has written for me.
So y'all ready? Let's get this party started with Nandy. Nandy, you're the first one.
Who is joining us? What is your role? Here is a poll, and one of the United States, Kay and Michelle will put up the poll.
And also, if you're in a multi-group, like Michelle said in the beginning, please put your name in the chat box, the self-advocates and the allies, so we can recognize y'all. Because this is a single choice. And I'm Pac-Man, I like my numbers.
We have more folks joining, so our percentage of who's answered the poll keeps changing. Thank you guys. Let's see what we have so far. It's nearly 70%, and then we can keep moving because we've got lots of information to share today.
So 56 self-advocates are on here. 13% of family members. There's no direct supports, supervisors or managers or support coordinators on here, but there is a 13% state DB, you know, them people and allies. I can't see that real clearly. That's why I said that. And the bottom one, others and allies, I think that's what it says, 19%. All right. So it's still on Nandy. This slide is you. I think she's getting her something to drink. This one's you, Nandy.
Can you see it?
Why are we here today? We're here to vote on important issues like laws that change here in Georgia and preparing to vote and gain support you need.
That's right.
Yes.
Thanks, Cindy. And this is our second voting workshop in this series. If you missed the first one, we're getting ready to have that recording available at our Google Drive, and we'll share that with you guys in just a little bit so you can have those resources to find the first one and some other important voting resources in that Google Drive.
Thank you, Katie. This slide shows the important dates that you will need to know before election day, November 8th. You can already send an application to request an absentee ballot. The earliest start mailing them is September 20th. October 11th is the last day you can register to vote. Early voting starts Monday, October the 17th and ends on Friday, November the 4th. On October 22nd, Saturday voting begins and is open for 2 Saturdays. Sunday voting begins in some counties on October 23rd. You will need to check your county election office or ask someone to help you find out if your county is letting folks vote on Sunday. October 28th is the last day you can request an application to vote with an absentee ballot. November 8th is election day. where you can vote at your polling place, and the deadline for the absentee ballot to be in. Katie will put it in the chat box to find your early voting location and hours. Derek Hurd.
I drew this graphic to help everyone to understand how important it is to vote, even though it is now a bit harder. Your vote matters.
Gina.
We want to show this quick video for United for Change made as we talk about what has changed in voting since the last election.
I need 1 second, guys, to make sure that the sound will be on the video.
After a historic turnout in the 2020 election, Georgia legislators made changes in how we can vote in Georgia. We at United for Change want to make sure that all people with intellectual or developmental disabilities understand that it is your right to vote, and we want you to understand that voting has changed. Laws were changed and how elections take place. New laws impact us as individual voters. Advocates and voting rights champions have been working hard and pushing back to make sure all voters still vote, just like you.
There are now groups who are suing the state of Georgia, saying those laws are discriminating against people with disability, people of color, and people have low income. We want to make sure all self-advocates around Georgia know what those changes are, so your vote counts.
Okay. It is important to know the new voter law, SB 202, restriction voting for many people, including folks with disabilities. It affects us by moving the deadline to apply for an absentee ballot 11 days early before Election Day. There are no changes allowed for emergencies like someone to quarantine for COVID and can't get to the polls. If you know you are going to apply for an absentee ballot, do it now. The law says people can be put in jail for offering food or water to voters standing in line. If you vote with an absentee ballot, you now have to go through more steps just to apply and cast your ballot. The law changes drop-box locations and hours to inside early, some, not all, voting locations. There are fewer drop boxes and there are not outside anymore. Derek.
We want to talk about different ways you can vote. You can vote by mail if you request and return an absentee ballot. We will tell you how to get an absentee ballot next, or you can go vote in person during early vote from October 17 through November 4th. Or you can show up to vote on Election Day, November 8th, as long as you get out and vote.
Gino?
This is what the My Voter page looks like. This website has a lots of important information. Here you can check your vote reservation status. Everyone needs to do this and make sure that are still eligible to vote. You can find the mail-in and ballot application and also go back and check the status of your voting ballot application. Poll locations are listed here, and you need to see if your poll is the same or if it's not, if it has changed. You can find early voting locations in your county and see what days and times you can vote before election day. You can go here and get a sample ballot to see what your will look like in advance, so you can practice.
Still Eugenia.
As Derek says, there are 3 ways to vote. John is going to walk us through these steps for voting with a paper ballot and at home, which is also called absentee voting. Things are a little different this time. If you vote before absentee and you want to do it again, pay close attention because it is not as easy to register, voice a ballot application as it was in the past. John will describe this application process.
The next slide is still you.
And we want to share this quick guide. You can look at it later to help you understand how to submit an absentee ballot. We will put the link in the chat box, and if it will also be in the Google Drive, you can access anytime.
It's John's turn and he will have his assistant help him.
Hey, thank you, Sheila. Thanks, Gina. I'm reading in the script. Here are the basic steps to getting an application for an absentee ballot. Gina told you how to check to see if you were registered to vote. After you are sure that you are registered, then you can request an application for the ballot. Then you fill in all the information on that application. You will want to understand the identification requirements necessary, and Sheila will talk more about this later. The final step for getting your application for getting the ballot is to submit the application, which is completed with the identification information, to your election office or the Secretary of State's office. Okay, for the first step, which is getting the application to request the ballot, the easiest way to do this is to call your county's election office and ask them to send you the physical paper application in the mail. Or you can physically go to your county election office and they can give you one. You can find your county election office information, their office location, phone number, and email address at the website, at the Secretary of State's website. Katie, I think, is going to put that in the chat. It's SOS.
She did. She
Okay.
did.
She did. Thank you. Thank you, Gina. Or Sheila. Another way to get the application is to have the county election office email you the application. You will have to have access to a printer to print the application from your email before printing it out, before filling it out. You can also go to the Secretary of State's website to find and print the application for the ballot. And I think that's
She put it in the chat box for you.
okay, perfect. Thanks, Sheila. Thanks, Katie. So when you go to the link on the Secretary of State's website that Katie has put in the chat, it looks like this. And on the far right, you'll see a place to click that says download blank absentee ballot application PDF. Click on that. You need access to a printer to print the application from the Secretary of State's website. If you do not want to fill out the application by writing it all in by hand, the information can be put into the website if you click on the center where it says complete and submit absentee ballot application. So that information is not really completely correct. It's a little confusing. From there, you still have to print the application after you have put in all the information online. You cannot just fill it out and submit it. You have to print it, sign it, and then upload it. So the website, so this page of the website is just a little bit confusing.
It's my turn.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is what the application looks like. You want to fill in the blanks. You'll put November the 8th, 2022 as the date of the election. Then your name, address, and contact information. If you have a Georgia's driver's license or an ID that is not expired, that has your correct address, you put that number here. That is the easy way to submit your identification information. You also need to put your date of birth. If you check you don't have a driver's license or a state ID, then you'll have to check the box and get a copy or photo of another type of ID. These are the approval types of IDs you can send in with your application. Instead of a driver's license or a state ID number, all of these have to have your photo, because this is how you're proving who you are. You say to get this absentee ballot mailed to you. You can include a copy of a U.S. passport, state issue ID card, a U.S. military ID, or a state of Georgia employee issue ID, or a Georgia's voter ID, or a tribal ID. If you do not have any of these, there are certain documents you can use for proof that you have your name and address, like current utility bill, bank statement, paycheck, government check, or other government documents. Nandy? I don't know where Nandy is, so we don't slow down the process. I'm just going to quickly read her. Hold on.
I got it, Sheila.
Okay, thank you.
So once you've filled out your application and you have the acceptable ID, you need to sign the application. If you filled it out on the website, that means you need to print the application and physically sign it. If someone assists you to complete the application, so someone else helped you write in your name and those ID numbers, then that person needs to sign the form. If you need help to type or write to request for an absentee ballot, Katie, I'm going to skip that part. So you can get help to fill in the form, right? By anyone who's willing to help you and sign the form. You still have to print the application after you filled it out online. That's the most important part. You can't just put the information in the website and submit it.
Thank you. John's going to tell us how to return it now.
Oh, come
Right,
on.
so now you're gonna want to return the application so you can get your ballot. Okay, so absentee ballot applications must be received 11 days before the date of the election, and that is October 28th. Your signed application with the copies of ID can be mailed to the address of your county election office. Again, that was put into the chat, that website, on the Secretary of State's website. The application and the copies of identification, if necessary, should all fit into a regular business envelope. And that should take one of those forever stamps, just one. If you put it into a larger envelope, you're going to need more postage. Or you can take the completed ballot, signed, along with the copies of ID, the completed ballot application, excuse me, along with the copies of ID, into the local election office. Again, those addresses were in that link in the chat. Or you can fax a copy of the completed application and ID to the local elections office. A photo of the signed completed application, along with the picture of the ID, can be uploaded to the Secretary of State's website. If you have taken pictures of the completed application with your phone, you can upload from your phone. You can email the photos of the completed ballot as an attachment in an email to your local elections office. If you're good with computers and you have a supporter who is good with computers, there are several steps when using a desktop computer. I don't want to go into all the details now because it can be confusing. If you want to vote absentee, meaning with a paper ballot at home, please start that application process as soon as possible.
Eric?
If you had difficulties with the process of uploading your signed complete application, please call a Georgia Advocacy Office election helpline. This helpline opens of 4 calls beginning October 1st. You'll have leave a message and someone will call you back to walk you through it. The number is 404-885-1234 or 1-800-537-2329.
And Dana put that in the chat box, and I'm passing it over to John again.
after a few days, or maybe about a week or so, you can check to make sure your application for an absentee ballot was accepted by going to the Georgia My Voter page, and Katie's put that into the chat box, and Gina showed you what that looked like before. After you've signed in to the My Voter page, from the main page, you will see a banner at the top. Is there another slide, Katie? Right, there you go. After you've signed in from the main page, you'll see a banner at the top with my registration information, my voting location, voter participation history, absentee ballot portal, my districts and officials. You're going to click on absentee ballot portal. And if your ballot application has been accepted, it'll say at election name 11/8/2022 general/special, and it will show the date that they're going to mail you your application.
Gina.
Debbie made this to show that the new laws requires you to use your ID number on both your ballot application and on your ballot. If you do not have an ID, we will tell you how you can get a Georgia voter ID card, which you can still do to be able to vote this year. It is also important that you know that family members or caregivers like you, your allies and supporters can assist you to complete your absentee ballot application. Wait a minute. And that also means when you go into the voting places, you will make it big enough for you guys to read and see, as important as always. I just want to put that in there just in case you was going to ask that same question. We should all be allowed to choose who we want to support us to vote.
Nandy?
You can either get a free Georgia identification card with voting purposes from only Department of Driver Services, or a free Georgia ID card at your county register office. You need as following: a photo identity document or non-photo identity document showing your full legal name, date of birth, documentation showing your date of birth, evidence that you are registered to vote in Georgia, a document showing your name, the address, and the principle of residence.
So we have been through how you can apply to vote with an absentee ballot. If that's your preference, you need to know about the changes for when you go to return your ballot, so your vote gets counted. There have been some big changes with drop boxes. Here's some of the highlights to know Drop boxes are now only available during early voting and must be located inside government office. This means you cannot drive up to the box any longer. And you must get out of your car and go inside the building to put your ballot in the drop box. And you can only go when the building is open. You can't drop off your ballot anymore at any time of the day. Not all early voting locations will have a drop box. You need to check with your county to find where and when you can put your ballot in a drop box. Look at these maps of Metro Atlanta, showing the number of ballot drop boxes in 2020 election now for the 2022 election. And these 4 counties, the number of drop boxes went from 107 in 2020 to now just 25 for this election, 2022. This limits where you could drop off your ballot. Katie will put the link in the box, and I'm passing it back to Mandy.
So we went to the Georgia Voter Guide that we put a link to earlier to look at some frequently asked questions, and we want to share those with you. So Nandy, will you read the first?
Can I return someone else's ballot to a drop box, or can they return mine for me? Yes, but only civic people with relationships to the voters can return a ballot, like a relative does not have to live in the same household as you, someone who lives in the same household, a caretaker, support of a voter with disability.
Next question. Can I return my ballot to a drop box anywhere in the county? The answer is no. You must return your ballot to a drop box in your county where you are registered to vote. Returning it to another county drop box could make your vote be rejected.
Can I return my ballot directly to my county election office? Of course I am. Remember, be sure to check to know when they are open first, no matter what.
Are drop boxes available 24/7? No. The drop boxes are now and only inside government offices and must be located lot closed when early voting ends. This is a big change for anyone who may have dropped off their absentee ballot previously after work, overnight, or on weekends. So we believe if you are voting with an absentee ballot, do not delay. When you get it in the mail, fill it out immediately and send it right back. Or
Derek,
get it in a Dropbox between October the 17th through November the 4th. And get it in there immediately because you will not be, it will be dropped. And it won't be any good. Mm-mm.
Your other options is to vote in person. And it is important to remember that you can vote early. Early vote opens October 17th to November 4th. There are 2 Saturdays this year for early vote, and some counties had Sunday votes. It doesn't matter if you vote early or on election day on November 8th. What matters is that you vote.
okay, now we're gonna put a poll up. It is a single choice. And we know we have we have several groups in here with us today. So we don't want to single nobody out. So if you're in a group and you can answer this, please put in the chat box. The answers to this is, are you registered to vote? It is either yes, no, yes or no. And then the other one is, how do you plan to vote this year? And then it says, I will vote using an absentee ballot after I apply and get one in the mail. I will vote during early voting, October 7th through November 4th, or I will vote on election day, November the 8th at my voting place. We would love to hear from people that are in a big group, are they registered to vote, or are they going to vote this year, and how they're going to vote. I don't want to single nobody out. Because everybody's voice is important to be heard.
And if you're not yet registered to vote, you can put in the chat box that you're going to get someone to help you register to vote.
Right. We want to make sure everybody's voice is heard.
It's definitely important too.
And like Dana said, and we also stressed this too, you can share your answers in the chat box. Don't be afraid, we don't bite.
And we had a comment earlier too, Sheila, when you were talking about the changes in the Dropbox locations in those Atlanta counties, when we had that picture and how fewer there are now.
You know what I said about it. We ain't gonna go there, but you know what I said about it.
Alicia said that she believes, unfortunately, it's to stop and or limit the convenience of people voting, which is sad, and we would agree.
And
with
I
you.
believe it is too, and I think it's more pressure on especially people with disabilities too. That's how I feel. I'm not saying it's true, but that's how I feel. They feel like probably people with disabilities shouldn't vote, so let's limit it how we can get them not to vote. But that ain't gonna stop us. Watch it. Watch it.
That's right. I mean, it certainly brings more barriers.
We'll find a way around it. And so 100% people said yes. And how do you plan to vote? 20% said I will vote using an absentee ballot when they get one. 6% said they will do early voting October 7th through the 4th. And 20% said they will go to their voting on election day at their polling place. Hold on, what the? And I'm going to pass this over to Derek now.
So we want to know if you have any questions about where to vote and the different ways can you vote. My voter page can help you find more information.
Derek, will you tell everyone, where are you going to vote this year? And are you going to vote in person? Or are you doing an absentee ballot?
The answer is early vote in person.
And we noticed that a lot of these graphics are some of your graphics. What are those graphics about?
It's about where do I need to go to vote?
Yeah. And then also you put graphics out there to tell people to go do what?
To go vote,
Right.
like early registration.
That is very good.
We won't, excuse me. We want to show you our video about voting accessibility and get accommodations when you vote in person for either early voting or on election day.
So I had to switch screens here. So let me make sure you guys can see and hear.
We want to talk about voter responsibility as a self-advocate. There are things you need to know about voting accessibility. Did you know 1 in 4 people have disability in the United States?
In the 2020 election, 1 in 9 voters with disabilities had trouble voting. This is a double number of people who had trouble voting when compared to people without disabilities. People with vision impairments and people with intellectual disabilities had the most difficulty voting.
In Georgia, we have 650,000 voters with disabilities. Everyone has a right to vote and it should be accessible. So what does that mean? Accessibility means making a place or a process work for people with disabilities.
So what is for accessibility? When you are voting, it means having access to the support or technology you need to register to vote, access website about voting and candidates running for office, enter polling place and cast your ballot.
The Americans with Disabilities Act requires all polling places to be fully accessible and have a poll workers who are trained and respond to the needs of voters with disabilities when they ask for help.
As a voter with a disability, we have the right to vote in person or by mail, vote privately and independently, have access to a polling place with voting machines that support voters with disabilities. What about getting accommodations to vote?
Accommodations help with voting accessibility. Accommodations are the changes that are made so that you can vote privately and independently. Get accommodations, you may need to ask for assistance from workers at the polling place to use voting equipment. Bring someone with you to help you vote, like a family member, friend, or other supporters. Ask to use a touchscreen voting machine from your wheelchair or a chair. Use an audio ballot with headphones and a number of keypads. Tell a poll worker you want to move forward front of the line if you are voting on election day between 9:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. People with disabilities do not have to wait that long voting lines on election day.
We all have a voice and need to speak up. Make sure you know what you need to go vote and have your voice heard.
This video was made by Uniting for Change with support from Songhai Unity Network, the Georgia Advocacy Office, and the ARC Georgia.
Nandy,
Georgia Advocacy Office possessed the voter protection hotline. During the voting period in October 17th through November the 4th, voters with disabilities can contact Georgia Advocacy Office for assistance with a election related issue. Leave a message, we will get back to you by an advocate. On election day on November the 8th, the voter hotline is open and live call from 7 a.m. until polls close. Here are the phone numbers in the bottom, and Kate will leave it in the chat box.
And just a quick note, because it's so complicated this year, we are going to open the phone line starting October 1st. So October 1st, all the way through Election Day, you can get voter help. And then on Election Day, we will be open for live calls.
Here are some quotes from advocacy who fought for our rights to vote. Martin Luther King said that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matters. Voting matters. Galen Gottlieb said, being the change you wish to see the world, voting makes change. Fannie Lou Hamer said, we have a long fight, and this fight is not mine alone, but you are not free whether you are white or black until I'm free. John Lewis said, the vote is a precious to the vote sacred is the most powerful non-violent tool we have in democratic society, and we got to use it. So use it. Rise up and speak out.
Sheila, back to you.
Go ahead, Dana. I think we're.
I got it. I'm sorry. I had to use the bathroom. You know, I had to have help. Sorry.
We accommodate everybody. It's okay.
Here are some important links you may need from the Secretary of State office. Voters with disability info, my voter page, registered to vote, find your county. Katie will put it in the chat box. Now, I'd like to say our famous and number one, we have a lot of number ones in here, but Katie is going to put a poll. And this poll, as we start going over dates and where to find resources, we are putting up a poll so we can get some data and feedback. We are asking to collect demographic data as a part of our grant from the DD Council. There are some questions we would like you to please answer about your experience so we can improve for next time. Some of these, we don't really want to ask the question, but unfortunately, if you want us to keep helping y'all teach y'all workshop, please give us your information. If I had a choice, I would say don't answer it, but please answer it for me.
Well, we actually do want your input and feedback on how we could make this presentation
Things better.
we have one more. So there are a couple questions at the end where we want you to tell us, you know,
And these
what
are single
the
choices,
advocates
so if you
did
have
good.
any input, you have, these
Sheila,
are single choices, so if you have any input, yes.
oh, I was going to let Katie finish explaining real
Oh, go
quick.
ahead. Go ahead.
So, right. So we know, so Zoom only lets one person on the computer answer this poll. But what we've done is we've made a Google form that I'm going to put a link in the chat box. So if there are, you know, 2 or 10 or however many people are sitting around the same computer later today, hopefully you can go in on the internet to this link here for the Google Drive. And if Dana, will you click on that and make sure it takes you to the right place, just to make sure. And it asks the same questions, but this way we can get input from each person, from each advocate, from each ally, so that we are able to meet our obligations with our grant from our funder, because they receive federal funds from the Administration on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. And then they have given a grant to Shanghai Unity Network to support self-advocacy through Uniting for Change all over Georgia. So we want to answer those questions. And then also we really do want your opinion about how this went and about what could be better. So we'll leave that poll up. We're not going to review it, but we'll leave it up so that we can get as many people to answer, and we'll keep moving while folks
So
are
Katie,
filling.
the link works. It's the right link. And also, if you're working on this poll, there's lots of questions. So there's a little gray bar. You can slide the poll down the side to make sure you're answering all the questions. You can do it in the poll, or you can use the Google form and let us know.
Thank you.
Andy.
Next meeting in November is a Q&A, Unite for Change, Tuesday, November the 1st, 2002. It's at 10:30 a.m. to 12 noon. It's almost election day, and we are here to answer your questions about vote and what is on the ballot count. So please register for the Q&A voting on November the 1st.
Andy.
Okay. Please register now for 2022 GCDD Candidate Forum on Thursday, September the 29th, which is a couple weeks from now. The candidates have been invited to participate who are competing for the office of the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, insurance and commissioner, attorney general, labor of commissioner, state superintendent of schools, U.S. Senator for Georgia. To learn more, see your registration agenda for event details.
Okay, so far, the candidates who have confirmed that they'll be at the candidate forum are Dean Yuan for Secretary of State, Charlie Bailey for Lieutenant Governor, Janice Laws Robinson for Insurance Commissioner, and Alicia Thompson Searcy for State Superintendent. We hope that you register and you can make it either on Zoom or in person.
You can find our slides from today and other resources in the Google Drive. We will put the link in the chat box. Gina.
You can also check out a lot of voting information on the Uniting for Change website. And please go there because there's a lot of our stuff on there, plus the last voting session that we did in August and today.
Thank you. And Zan asked earlier about one of the videos, and so we've put a link to the voting videos here. They're also on the Uniting for Change website too. So there's a YouTube page with a playlist of all the videos we made last fall during a runoff election, right when the laws were changing. And so some might have dates from 2021. However, the information that we shared in the videos here is still as accurate. So thanks for asking about that too.
And we would love for y'all to spread the word about these resources to folks so that folks across the state and self-advocates who could not be here for this workshop or the first one know that they can go to the website and grab some information as they need it.
And also, before we end, I know we got one more, but also this week is tell your DSP how they do good work for you week. We had said that yesterday, and I mentioned to my formal about to be staff how good she still helps me out. So make sure if your DSP or your provider's doing good for you, please let them know.
Yes.
That's true. It is Direct Support Professional Appreciation Week. Thank you for mentioning that, Sheila. So yes, show some appreciation. It is also National Disability Voter Registration Week. Isn't that correct, Zan and Dana?
Voter Rights Week. So voter rights, all the things. You got the R so close.
Okay, great. So yeah, there's a lot to celebrate and be proud of.
That's right. So it's a good week. If you haven't gotten registered, to get registered. It's a good week to make your plan to vote. If you haven't done that already, to get answers to all these questions. Rev Up Georgia is having a webinar every day this week, a little short 30-minute webinar every day at 1:30 to remind us about voting rights and why it's important. So again, like Katie said, lots of ways to celebrate and remember both our DSPs and our disability voting rights this week.
Thank you. Will you put the Rev Up link in the chat box too, in case folks want to join at, you said 1 o'clock?
Yep.
Thank you.
Next slide is Nandy talking about her voting story from last year.
Send us your photos and your voice stories. We'd love to hear from you about your voting experience. Please send us your photos and voice stories. Here is the link down below, and it will be sent towards the chat box. And please vote.
That's right. So that is the end of our slides. If you have questions right now that have come up for you during this presentation, because we know there were a lot of changes and stuff has gotten confusing, we were hoping to present it in a clear manner to make sense of it. So let us know what we might have missed or what you might be still curious about.
Is there any questions you want to ask? We got a couple minutes left. Hey, everybody in town.
Katie, Zan asked if we could send the links out. So can you just maybe remind everyone how they get all this great information we shared today?
Yes, and then we can do that. It's going to be in that one Google Drive link. And also, if you wanted everything from the chat box, where you go to type to everyone, there's 3 little dots beside a smiley face in the chat box towards the bottom. If you click on those 3 little dots, you should be able to save chat. And so then this chat will download to your computer I know of. Zan, I'm not sure if you're on a mobile device, what happens if you try to save the chat. So that might not work as well. But if you do want to save the chat on a computer, those 3 little dots save chat, and then all the links would be there. So hopefully that.
And it will do it on the phone too. It's gonna pop up the 3 dots. You save chat. I did that just for the heck of it one day, just to see what it would do.
That's good. Thank you. It's always good to know how things work. I push buttons all the time. I'm like, I wonder what this one does. So,
That's me. I get curious. I'll be like, oh, what does that button do? Let me just tap it, see what it does. And I did that on my phone when we was talking about save the chat. And I just said, oh, well, let me see what that dot does. And I tap the dot and it saved the chats for me. So it does it on your phone too.
Right.
Shannon, what's up?
Guys, I'll tell you what, on election night, most groups have get-togethers or celebrations and root for their favorite candidates to see who's going to win those positions. It's going to be a thumbs up for everybody.
I remember going to one of those and it was like everybody just sat there like they was focused on one candidate and we sat there for 5 hours. I was like, well, somebody just say he won or didn't win so I could go to my bed.
All night long.
It will. It sometimes that stuff goes on all night long. I see Michelle's back at home.
okay, well, so no other questions?
All right, everyone. Well, we want to
Please
thank
register.
everyone so much for being here today. Remember, we have one more workshop coming up.
November the 1st at the same time.
Please register because this is where you can ask us all the questions you need to know before you go vote on election day. We'll be here to answer them. Please register.
And please complete the feedback form. It really is important because we do change and adjust the self-advocates who create these workshops and present these workshops. They use your feedback so that they can continue to make excellent workshops for y'all. So thank you, everyone. Presenters, y'all were fabulous as always.
Thank
Everyone
you.
have a beautiful day.
Michelle, I will be on the line, but remember, if you need me to answer questions, it will be a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Great job. Great job. Wow.
Bye.